Let's go! We need JJ! We want JJ! We want JJ! We want JJ! Let's go!
JJ! We got Johnson! We got Johnson at 26! We got Johnson at 26! This is great!
It is Matt, it is Richie. We are hanging out with the Jets Lounge guys. Richie, my man, how's it going?
Matt, this is sick. We're at the Jets Lounge event in Farmingdale. The main event is what it's called. We got the entire Rutgers family over there.
Jets!
And welcome. I am Jets Chaos. This is the Jets Lounge, and we have breaking news today. Is it bad? Yes. Is it the end of all things? No. It is not the end of all things, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about other things, but I can't do it alone. I need you, and I need somebody else. First, we'll see who you are. Jeff Mess, thank you so much for being the first one and for reminding me that I need a snack. Knobcraft, what's going on? It is almost time for the big show. It is the big show. Harlan Anderson is here. We are glad to see you. And Larry Twisted, he's happy because for the first time in a million years, I actually gave notice and came on when the show was supposed to start. Hank G is here in the house. He's ready to go. I know Eric Craig is doing well. He's ready to say hello to his family, and he's ready to talk about some Jets. And, of course, we have Alexio asking for the package, the Streveler package, that is. And, of course, we got John Hepburn, who I met in Coney Island last year. I will tell you that every time I see his name, because I remember when he came running up that first time. And in the chat and backstage, and I'm going to introduce him real soon, he's ready to go. Hank G is here. And that about covers most of it. If you want your name read out, then say something in the chat, and I'll try to do it. But anyway, did someone select that? Nick is so awesome. I wish I had his good looks, charm, personality, and charisma. I wish I could lose weight like he loses body parts. I love him dearly, and all of you. It looks like I gave somebody too much power. But let's move on with the show. And to do that, of course, I need my co-host. So let's go. Let's hit the music. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't done this in a while, so please bear with me. I would like to introduce to you the pizza with French fries meatball hero eating. The cut my sleeve to show off the only sexy part of my body, arms revealing. The father of a son and daughter, son much better looking than him. Trust me, you have to take my word for it. The one and only. The jet rooting. The proud one. The bearded one. The one with only 9 fingers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the greatest co-host in the world!
You lasted 14 seconds. I bet you've never heard those words before. Hi, everybody.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said. What's up, everyone? How's it going? There's very kind words that you shared about me in the chat, Jeremy. I appreciate that, man. That was
come over me.
that was very, very kind of you. I know we pick on each other a lot, man, but I appreciate the love that you showed everyone here watching that you have for me.
Well, the retirement of Corey Davis has made me very emotional.
Hasn't affected me.
Hasn't affected you at all, huh?
No, man. I processed it. I'm going to be villain, public enemy number 1.
I got friends panicking, man. My friend Jason's over in Staten Island freaking out. He's like yelling, should we get Hilton? Should we get Hilton? I said, if we get Hilton, one thing's for sure, MetLife will have a Hyatt and a Hilton. Nobody will complain that there's not a lot of places to stay. Get it? Because Jalen Hyatt.
I got it.
I think MetLife already has a Hilton. Somebody stay. Isn't that the hotel people stay in? Or is it the Hyatt or the Hilton? The one right by MetLife?
Sheridan is the one right next to Meadowlands Sheridan.
Oh, I thought there was also a Hilton or something.
Also, little perturbed that you're grading the looks of my 14-year-old son, but we're going to skip right past that and move along with the show.
Hey, notice he's a good-looking kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a heartbreaker, man. It's a heartbreaker. We could live vicariously through him as he goes through girlfriend.
Yeah, I met his girlfriend the other day at his football scrimmage. I met her. She came up.
Was she nice?
She's nice.
Did she come over and say, "Hi, Mr. Shine, I'm sorry about your toe"?
She's nice. Nice girl. Nice girl. Good for him.
Hey, what's going on, Daniel Meacham? What's going on? Who's watching the debate tonight? We don't talk politics here.
Watch this debate. It's the only debate that matters.
The debate you should watch.
This isn't rigged. This is two guys going at it. Not like that.
Yeah.
I had to catch myself before somebody else did.
This is no. Well, I mean, let's just say this. This is one big family where everybody loves each other except you and me. We go at each other and make fun of each other.
Yeah.
But, Jeremy, not your stand-up material with that one. I don't know which one I did, which joke I did.
I don't think you made a joke yet. I don't think you made a joke yet.
I didn't think I made a joke. That's just me.
Ever.
Oh, that's what she said.
Jeremy needs backup. He can't hang.
When I said that's what she said, I think. Jeremy needs backup. He can't hang with Nick with the hangs slams. I don't know about that.
He got me good before we got on air. He got me really good. It was.
I don't know about that.
He got me really good.
I go pretty hard. That's what she said.
Yeah, you need some water after that 14-second world that you did.
I know, right? That's crazy. I get no appreciation for it too. Whereas Hank G, he usually writes it out for me in appreciation.
Yeah, so interesting day in Jet World, huh?
Yeah, so and we were live for it on your channel, which is kind of crazy. It's always crazy. I used to complain that I'm never live when news is released, and now I was live when the announcement of Dalvin Cook came out, and now we were live with the announcement of Cook retiring. I mean, of Corey Davis retiring. It's kind of crazy, and maybe it's not as apples and peaches or peaches and cream as I thought, because it was kind of heavy. It was kind of hard for us to do that show without having time to process news like that.
Yeah. I mean, normally the breaking news that we've gotten are signings. So it's exciting. It's good, right? Like it's something that we've been looking forward to. Positional needs. We were live when CJ Uzomah signed last year. We were on the air. I was with you with Cook, right? Were we doing a show with Cook? Was that me and you?
With Cook, having him on the show? No. You weren't on that one. I was a Monday night show. It was Monday night.
Okay. That's right.
It was freaky that I was even on because I'm usually.
I was on the IOW show when it hit. That's.
Oh, you
was on there.
You with my boy Lamar?
Yeah, that was with Lamar. I was on air with him when Rodgers got traded on April 24th, and then when Cook signed.
Well, that's nice. That's weird. I didn't know you knew him. I never introduced you to Lamar.
Weirdo.
I'm messing with your head because you're like,
You are. I don't even.
I didn't even know I knew Lamar.
What's funny is when you make it when you try to set someone up, you look so goddamn convincing when you do it. It's like, wait, huh? I'm like, didn't no, and you're making me second guess all my decisions in life, and that's a lot.
Did you were your ears buzzing yesterday? Because I actually I do a show for Let's Talk Sports, and I did an hour show, and Lamar was my guest, and we talked about the Chiefs.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, we talked about you a lot. You came up. It's not on my channel, so there's no way to anybody here to find it unless they actually look up Let's Talk Sports. But every Tuesday night, and from 9 p.m. Eastern, I interview a fan or insider for each football team in the NFL.
Okay.
And I don't advertise it here because I think it's that guy's responsibility to advertise the show. He asked me to host the show for him. I don't feel it's my responsibility to bust my butt, advertising for it. But I'll mention Let's Talk Sports. I'll ask people to subscribe, but I don't go nuts because I don't have time. And he's hoping to get on one of those like an app that's on what's the name? Roku. He wants to have he has some deal with them where I think there's going to be an app on Roku, and you go on it, and it's going to be all his sports shows, which will include the show that I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So
how'd you get linked up with Lamar?
The guy who does Let's Talk Sports got him.
Oh, because he does it on there too. His late night show's on there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And he goes, "Hey, I got the IOW guy Lamar," and I said, "That sounds familiar to me. I think that's Nick's guy." And sure enough, he pops in and he looked familiar to me, and right away we hit it off. And we were talking. He mentioned you a lot. He kept saying, I got. He goes, "Oh, you could talk Jets. I can keep up because I'm used to Nick."
They got to get me back on the track sometimes on that show because I'll talk too much Jets.
Yeah.
Now, like me and Lamar have a thing where it's like an unwritten thing where he's a big Chiefs fan, I'm a Jets fan, obviously, and whoever brings it up first, the other one's like, all right, you brought it up first. Now I can bring up my team. Like, it's like who can hold out longest.
That's funny. Harlan is saying technical difficulties, people. I don't think we froze, right? We're actually doing all right.
I don't have an issue.
Yeah. All right. All right. So the news comes in today. First, it was Corey Davis could take as much time off as he needs during the press conference. It seems like Saleh, I sensed a little bit of emotion in the way he said it. Like that it was a little bit like it was a very human moment the way he said it. I sensed
somber a little bit, right? A little somber.
Yeah, a little somber. So obviously he already knew, and he wanted, I guess he had already agreed, I guess, that Corey Davis was going to come out with it. And he did. And now we are without we didn't have a clear number 2, number 3, but I think that a lot of people felt deeply that Corey Davis was our number 2, that Lazard didn't automatically take the number 2 spot away from him by being signed. I mean, and that would have to be earned. So, but whether he was the number 2 or the number 3, the point is that he and Lazard were depth. They were 2 guys who did similar things, and next to Garrett Wilson, and then McCole Hardman was the gadget guy. Now we're down to 1 big-bodied receiver. And that guy walked up the practice field today, and we don't know why. I don't think we have a report on that yet. If he's injured or not, I don't know. If I'm wrong, someone tell me. So it's a little unnerving because we want that big-bodied blocking receiver, right? And how do we replace Corey Davis? I think that's what really people are wondering. Do you think it's going to come from the cuts? Do you think it's going to be just next guy up for the young guys fighting for roster spots and just opportunity? Or do you think we're actually going to go out and make a trade or sign one of the guys who hasn't been signed yet, guys like Julio Jones or Hilton?
I preface everything I say with this. I trust Joe Douglas. Let me stick with this first before I address the Corey situation. I might upset some people with the Corey situation, so I'll end on that because that'll be probably a big discussion point with what I say. I trust Joe Douglas, and here's why. They went out and got Rodgers. Woody Johnson went all in with this. They're not letting this take the train off the track, right, Jer? They're not letting a guy who averaged 33 catches the last 2 years retiring derail this. I will say this. I'm going to be me. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I don't think Corey Davis retiring changes the trajectory of this team. Corey Davis has always been a hopeful player. We hope he stays healthy. We hope he has a big season. We hope he makes 1,000 yards. He's 28. He never did it. So I'm in the camp of next guy up, the system, the quarterback. We're not losing Garrett Wilson, guys. We're losing a guy that we always hoped would become something. And let's break down Corey Davis's skill set. He's not the most fleet of foot. He's not great with separation. He's not great with elusiveness. I don't remember ever seeing Corey Davis catch one, make a guy miss, and take it like Garrett Wilson did in the Chicago game. That's not Corey Davis. Corey Davis is easily replaceable in my mind because he's never done anything that we know we're going to lose. It's always been hopeful. It's always been optimistic. This is the year Corey Davis gets 1,000 yards. Oh, now he's a Jet. Now he's going to get 1,000. He came close. 66 catches, 1,028 yards, 6 touchdowns combined in 2 years. He missed 12 out of 34 games. He averages 3 catches a game. You're telling me Aaron Rodgers and this system with Hackett, they can't put another guy in that role and just distribute the ball and far exceed that production? It's not like we're losing a 120 catch guy. It's not like we're losing Julio Jones in his prime in Atlanta or Antonio Brown on the Steelers. We're losing just a guy, in my opinion. He's never been. This is a league where now you look at the wide receivers in the NFL. Corey Davis is a wide receiver from the 1990s. He's big, he's physical, he's good on a slant. Nowadays, you got guys doing 3-4 moves and getting open in the time it takes one guy to do a slant. So when you look at all the top receivers in the league, they make your head spin with how they cut and they get in and out, and you look this way, and then they're back over that way. The new breed, Zay Flowers, Olave, Wilson, all these guys who can run, Jackson Smith-Njigba. You're not seeing big physical slow guys. Treylon Burks hasn't hit the ground yet running, right? He's a big physical guy. Hasn't really amounted to anything. Because in the day and era in the NFL, you need guys who could do 2-3 moves in what used to be one move. So I don't think Corey Davis is it's not upsetting me. I don't know why he retired. Obviously, I wish him well. Like, God bless him. I hope everything's okay with those that he loved. That's a personal thing. Football-wise, I don't know. I'm not upset by it. Like, it's not got me concerned. It doesn't have me panicked. I think Joe Douglas can find someone who can easily come in and give that production or more. And don't forget, Aaron Rodgers won multiple MVPs with Davante Adams and a bunch of just the guys. So Aaron Rodgers and this system is what's more important. You got your alpha in Garrett. They had their alpha in Davante. And then it was guys like Valdez Scantling and Lazard and another one I forget. But they're forgettable. Get your main guy and run everything off of him. And that's what you're going to see here. So I don't think that it doesn't affect our wins or losses. I don't think Corey Davis was ever going to win a game for the Jets.
I mean, the reality is that if Corey Davis would have went down game 1 or game 2 with a bad injury, nobody would have been shocked. We would have said, okay, that's been the MO on this guy. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. I think we all knew, nobody before this announcement was made felt that the season depended on Corey Davis. He was a nice have. He was like you said, if he stays healthy, it's a nice have. It's depth in the wide receiver room. We just lost some depth. I think we have to replace some of that depth just in case we have injuries in the wide receiver room. We need another proven guy or another guy who we know can play and play the game well. But I agree with you. It's not like And I don't want to even say the names of players, but there are players where if something had happened and we had just lost them for the season, don't forget what it was like 2 years ago, and we weren't even a competitive, a real threat in the league when Carl Lawson went down, and how devastating that was for us. And when Becton went down last year for the, when we thought he was coming back, and we thought, oh, he's in shape now, and these were devastating losses. We can't compare. Corey Davis, it's not at that level. He is a piece, but he's not one of the main pieces. When I name the stars of the New York Jets and why we're excited, when I say, oh, we've never had a team like this, look at the players, I don't name Corey Davis. I say Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner.
Nobody does. But now all of a sudden, it's like we're losing Keyshawn Johnson in 1998. Stop.
Yeah.
Hardman would be a blow because nobody can do what Hardman does with his speed. Davis is easily replaceable. Can we stop overreacting to this? Jets fans are too overreactive, man. Davis is easily replaceable. You can have another guy step up. You can put a tight end out wide to block on a run like Davis did. Davis does not do anything that we cannot get from someone else. And that's a fact. Everybody wanted Davis to be great. Newsflash, he wasn't. And that just wasn't here. He's 28 years old. You are what you are. You're a disappointing wide receiver in the NFL who was taken number 5 and never lived up to the hype. Other guys taken in the top 5. Julio Jones, Jamar Chase, well-deserving. Corey Davis has been a bust. Blame the quarterbacks. He never had a 1,000-yard season. Can we stop acting like we lost Cooper Kupp? Can we stop acting like we lost Justin Jefferson? We lost an average guy. They're replaceable.
We thought he could be more than average, but it turns out when you look at his production for us, for what we know and what we've experienced, we've lost an average guy. That's the truth. We lost the guy that we thought had potential to be better than average. We were hoping. Look, I was hoping for 707, anywhere between 700 and 900 yards from him. I mean, I was hoping that both him and Lazard would fall around that level, and both of them at that level, and Garrett Wilson at 1,500 yards, and then you got Hard and every other weapon on the team. Yeah. That was how my head did it. I feel like there are guys on our team that can pick up the slack. It's not one guy. It might not be one guy. It might be Lazard's going to get more snaps. Hardman's going to get more snaps. Cobb is going to get more snaps. We're going to use Conklin a little bit more than we would have. It's like we're still running plays with great weapons out there. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. He's still got his main number 1. He's got 17, right? And he's going to have his guy Lazard, and you got some other guys. It's not like we're left without anybody. But I want to bring into the stream. You guys know him. You love him. Tigo.
Hello.
What's up, Tigo?
How's everyone doing in here?
All right. I'm just wondering. I want to hear your real life reaction, not your Tigo. It's hard in writing and text, right? I mean, there's something different when you see someone in person having a discussion about it. How do you feel today? I mean, how did the news hit you?
The reality is the New York Jets objectively today got worse. With Corey Davis retiring, objectively we got worse because we lost the second best wide receiver on this football team. That's not even an argument that can be had. He was, by every account, the second best wide receiver on this football team. Now, the 2 years that we had him, he was plagued with injuries, right? In his first year, he only played 9 games. In his second year, last year, he played 13 games. But if you look at his production, just look at the production that he gave us in those years. Do you understand that if you were to span out his production as a New York Jet wide receiver, in 2022, he played 13 games. Now, again, doing all of this, whatever, is a little bit. But if Corey Davis would have played all 13 games in 2022, he would have gone for 700 yards. That's a great wide receiver, too. That is a great wide receiver, too.
He was supposed to be wide receiver 1. That's why he was brought in and given that contract.
Absolutely.
So it's been a major disappointment. And from that aspect,
absolutely,
with what he was supposed to be and what he was, It's a disappointment. Would you agree
But
with
we're
that?
not talking about what he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be an elite wide receiver. He was taken 5th overall. That doesn't happen to everybody. The reality is everybody who knew what Corey Davis was, he wasn't brought in to be wide receiver 1. He was brought in to punch above his weight for a year or two while we went to go find wide receiver 1. That's why we drafted Garrett Wilson. Garrett was brought in to be wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
Corey
that I agree with.
was brought in to punch above his weight for a year, see if he's got it, because if he's got it, then the Jets can have 2 wide receiver 1s. Anybody who actually watched Corey Davis knew he was a wide receiver 2. That is a great wide receiver 2. But like Allen Lazard, with 5 years with Aaron Rodgers, has only hit 700 yards once. Once. And that was last year. That's it. McCole
But he was
Hardman.
also, let's compare it, right? You dropped Davis as number 5. Lazard was undrafted and worked his way up. So there's been a trajectory where he's been on the rise, and people see that he finally learned out how to be
Aaron
a
Rodgers.
wide receiver.
But
Correct,
Aaron Rodgers.
But also behind Adams, behind Scanling, behind Cobb. He was a 4 or 5. So
Yeah,
to
and he
finally
worked
move
his
up
way
to a
up.
2 or 3 that's a good career trajectory.
Right, but
Davis has been this.
That's not that. Yeah, but that's not relevant to objectively. Was he the second best wide receiver on the team? Okay, the story, he was more. Lazard is a success story. Davis is a disappointment story from where they started. I get it, but physically, like literally, who was the second best wide receiver on this team 2 weeks ago?
Corey Davis. It was Corey Davis. It was hands down. It wasn't even
Conklin.
a conversation.
Conklin.
Okay. Yes. Yes. That is true. Yes.
He didn't say wide receiver, just
No, he did.
receiver.
But again, like he's only done it once, and it was last year. And that was with a massively elevated role where he got more targets and more catches than he's ever had in his career. And it took all of that for him to get to 700 yards, assuming that he takes a step back, right, in terms of targets, because obviously the target share is going to be like less because 17 is going to get all the targets as he should. What you're looking at another 500, 600 yard receiver, which is great. But then let's look at McCole Hardman. McCole Hardman has never once in his 4-year career with a top 5 quarterback of all time and what Patrick Mahomes is eventually going to be, he's never hit 700 yards. Not once. If Corey Davis's numbers are projected over 17 games and you do all of that stuff, like, dude, his yards per reception would rank in the NFL. I think it's number 5th amongst qualified receivers. 5th in yards per reception. So to say that he didn't have a value to this team, that his presence isn't going to be missed, is looking back at Corey Davis's time in New York and trying to downplay the actual impact that he had for this team. He was the number 1 target for this team for a long time and a safety blanket for, let's be honest here, and I love Zach and I'm really happy with the turnaround, but really, really, really subpar quarterback play. We replaced Zach Wilson for a CFL quarterback who couldn't hit water off of the side of a boat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. That's how bad the quarterbacks were.
You're an East
that
Coast
we
guy.
replaced
Why
him
did you say
to.
Atlantic Ocean? What the hell is that?
Because he's
You're an
not,
East Coast. What the-
because he's from the West Coast. So,
Let me ask you a question. You threw a lot of info out there. Let me ask you a couple questions. When you take a wide receiver in the NFL in the top 5, you should be drafting a generational talent, whether it's left tackle, any position, left tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, edge. You're taking guys who should be very big, impactful players. Corey Davis was never that.
of course not. I'm not arguing that he's that.
You think
Neither is Solomon
Alan
Thomas.
Lazard,
Solomon
even though we
Thomas
got-
was the 3rd overall pick, and he hasn't
Agreed.
lived up to his stature, right?
Look,
Zach
he
was the number 2
interior,
overall pick.
right? He's interior. You usually take an edge there. You usually don't take a D tackle. Quinnen Williams is like the exception to the rule, right?
I'm just
You
saying,
usually
it
don't
took
take
Q
a
at
D
3.
tackle there. But I know Lazard was signed in March. Rodgers didn't come till April 24th. Do you think there's any way in hell that Allen Lazard is on this team unless there was a get me that guy? I don't. I think he was handpicked by Hackett, who had a conversation with Rodgers, and they said, get Lazard here.
I
'Cause
disagree.
I think there's a
Allen
trajectory
Lazard-
with Lazard.
Allen Lazard coming to the New York Jets is more about Hackett than it is about Rodgers. The thing you
But
got to
they've been
understand.
together before. All three of them have been
Well,
together.
of
We all knew the
course,
minute we got
right?
Hackett, we're getting Rodgers. It was just a matter of how.
Of course, but what I'm saying is that you're misplacing where the want for Allen Lazard is coming from. It's not because of production or skill set as a pass catcher. We know what Allen Lazard is as a pass catcher. He is, at best, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 in a team, a super good and willing blocker in the run game, and a big body red zone target with a contested catch with a drop issue. That's what he is, right? You know who that sounds like? Corey Davis. But Corey Davis is a better route runner. He's stronger in at the point of attack. He's faster. He's quicker than Allen Lazard. The reality is, when we brought in Allen Lazard, it was to take advantage of what Aaron Rodgers, and what we were hoping that if we didn't get Aaron Rodgers, whatever quarterback that we were going to come in, does at an exceptionally high level, which is quick routes to the outside where you triple stack receivers on one end. If you look at the stats, Aaron Rodgers last year, 50% of the balls that he threw either came at the line of scrimmage or behind it, or 20 yards deep. And all of those passes that came at or behind the line of scrimmage, most of them were to the outside. The idea was Allen Lazard and Corey Davis are going to block upfield for Garrett Wilson, who catches a pass, and then you get a free first down on a quick pass, because that's where Aaron Rodgers excels. You force these guys to keep taking up space, and then what happens? You bring in McCole Hardman, you bring in Garrett Wilson, and then you take the top off. That was the plan. That's why we went to go get Allen Lazard, and why Corey Davis is such a loss, because there isn't another wide receiver currently on the team with that blocking capability that Corey Davis has. Can Brownlee do that? Who knows? Can Irvin Charles do that? Who knows? I know that Xavier Gibson and Malik Taylor can't do that.
Okay. Now,
they're small.
If you take away his blocking, what did we lose that we cannot replace?
15.1 yards per reception.
You don't think that's replaceable with this system and this quarterback? Come on.
No, because we've had wide receivers in this system with this quarterback not do those things. Allen Lazard was in this system with this quarterback and never averaged 15.1 yards per reception. Never even got close, even as the number one target and number one wide receiver. McCole Hardman, with arguably a better quarterback right now, with Patrick Mahomes, never averaged 15.1 yards per reception, like at all.
Okay.
Look, I'm not saying that the world is over. It's panic time. We got to tear it all down, end the season, ship it in. No, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that Corey Davis is a superstar that we can't maybe go find a facsimile of or do something to go and get something else. Okay. All of those things we can do, but to downplay the level that Corey Davis actually played on this team and to say that we did not get worse today is, I just think, not looking at the New York Jets wide receiver room objectively, because we objectively got worse today.
I look at it this way. You give me a steak, you give me the best piece of the steak, and I take that bite, and I'm like, oh, this is delicious. Let me have the rest, and the rest is all fat and undercooked or overcooked. You can't undercook steak. The rest is overcooked. There wasn't enough. 66 catches in 2 years is a disappointment.
Well,
now,
he only played 9 games in his first year.
He
got hurt.
But that's also part of the disappointment. The best ability for a player is availability, right? We have that with Becton. We could say he's going to do all these things, but until you do it, it's still all conjecture and it's still unknown. So when I'm looking at Corey Davis, I think the biggest loss of Corey Davis is Corey Davis, the man, Corey Davis in the locker room, Corey Davis as a leader. That's my opinion. The play has been disappointing. There's been the biggest play he made was a complete coverage bust by the Cleveland Browns, where he got a 70-yard wide open touchdown because nobody covered him. And
are you forgetting the Titans game in year 1 of Zach Wilson, where Zach Wilson rolls out, tells him to go deep, and catches a ball in double coverage for a touchdown?
All right, I'll give you that play. I'll be honest with you. I forgot it.
Yeah, because there's so many plays that happen. There's 66 catches. You're not going to remember all of them. How many catches did freaking Garrett Wilson have last year? 83? Do you remember more than like 5 or 6 of them? No, but he had 1,100 yards. Remembering memorable plays
I remember
in a
every
year
catch.
that's a dumpster fire. In a
remember
year
every
that's a
catch.
dumpster fire. Come
Every
on, man.
catch. I remember every catch, how deep the routes were, everything.
All right.
Because he was exciting.
Look,
Yeah,
the,
because he was supposed to be.
Exciting.
He was the 10th overall pick.
the reality is, okay.
Davis
Yeah.
was the 5th.
No,
By a different team.
I understand that Corey Davis didn't have the availability, right? But when he was on the field, we were a better team in the last 2 years. When he was healthy, we were a better team. We definitely were. And this year, because you say you trust Joe Douglas, Nick, so let's acknowledge this.
Yeah.
Okay. Corey Davis was part of this team. That's because of Joe Douglas. And Corey Davis was going to play over 50% of the offensive snaps easily this year.
Yep.
Because he was right. He was easily going to play in over 50% of the snaps. And and the only other person that can confidently say that at the wide receiver position is number 17.
Garrett's only coming out when he needs a breather.
Well, there's a reason why
Run when we run 2 tight end sets, then you put Alan Lazard as the only wide receiver because he can block. Everybody in their mom knows that we're going to run down your throat. So it's just like, I'm not going to risk 17 for that one.
Right. So Corey Davis was going to take over half the snaps. He was going to have the second most snaps of any wide receiver on the team. Probably, if healthy, the second most looks or targets than any other wide receiver on the team. The reality is whether, however good we thought he was or could be, the reality is that has to be replaced.
Yep. And that's a lot harder. That's a lot harder than I think Nick is making it out to be. And that's the point.
Not, and here's why. Because we have an elite system. We have an elite quarterback.
That the quarterback, that the wide receivers are in this system.
Man. I let you
You're right. I'll shut up. You're right.
Take a breather. Decaf. Do some crunches or something. Relax. I see Graham's about to do some shit. When you have an elite system and you have an elite quarterback and you have an elite play caller, which Hackett is, I think last year was awful because I think Russell Wilson is a bad timing quarterback. I'm not going to get into
accurate.
Him, but yeah, I think that he was the failure, not Hackett. Now, when you replace it, whoever replaces it is going to get the same looks in that position. I do not view Corey Davis as a wide receiver who dogs cornerbacks, gets open, and gets such great separation. But what did Aaron Rodgers say about Garrett Wilson? He was talking about him. He said, he's kind of like Devontae. I got to give him that extra tick because I know he's going to get open. You never hear anyone say that about Corey Davis. To me, I would rather have Hardman getting those
Why
opportunities.
are you projecting Corey as a wide receiver 1? You're taking a draft, but you are. Why are you comparing him to Garrett Wilson?
Saying that
They're
whoever
different
steps
receivers.
up into Corey Davis's role will be capable of giving us what Corey Davis would have, because Corey Davis does nothing as a route runner that excites me. He doesn't create separation. He doesn't scare. No one is in the NFL. I'm going to take a Bill Belichick quote. Nobody is staying up to game plan for Corey Davis.
And that was the benefit of it, is because Corey Davis was a secret weapon. Nick, they can't
do what he did.
That then? Who can do that?
We'll see, because that's what the coaches get paid for. We don't decide it on a show.
But okay, Nick, let's talk about this.
Joe Douglas brings in can do it.
No. But let's talk about this, right? Because you keep bringing up, and this is your argument, right? Okay. Oh, everything with Corey Davis was about hope. Oh, you would hope that. But now what you're doing is hoping that Alan Lazard, McCole Hardman, Randall Cobb, and some unnamed wide receiver that may be on the roster or isn't, is going to live up to the level of Corey Davis.
Less than average? Who can't live up to less than average?
That is above it. He is an above average wide receiver. Dude, 15.1 yards per reception. If the guy didn't get hurt, that's 700 yards last year. Something that Alan Lazard only did once.
On paper, is the only place Corey Davis is an elite wide receiver. It never came out on the field. You cannot call a guy who at 28 years old, never hit 1,000 yards, an elite wide receiver. You can't.
I never said he was an elite wide receiver. Why are you putting that in my mouth?
You just said elite.
I never said elite
wide receiver.
I never said elite wide receiver. I never said you can run it back. What I said was, why are you comparing him to elite wide receivers? And why, last year, 16.8 yards per completion in 13 games. Like, dude, that's not easily replaceable.
Look,
Find a wide receiver that does that, that's available. Just
Okay.
anyone on any team that's actually available. Because we know Devontae Adams isn't going anywhere. So that's not a real option. Brownlee is an undrafted free agent. I love that kid. And I am totally on board the Jason Brownlee getting the offensive rookie of the year pipe train.
16.8 a catch last year, right?
Yeah.
Now, with 32 catches, 536, you take away that one Cleveland breakdown for 75, and it drops down to 14.8, and it's pedestrian.
14.8 is still top 10 in the NFL amongst yards per reception amongst qualified wide receivers. That is not pedestrian.
But
Pedestrian
he's
is
not qualified.
Braxton Berrios at 8.1.
But he's not qualified.
Yes,
He's
he
not
is. He qualified. He
At
would have
30
qualified.
At 32 catches, he's qualified?
He would have been qualified if you break it out over the 17 games.
Okay,
Yeah.
but look. I think both of you are coming from this from a different approach because I think we're talking about two different things. I think what Tigo is saying is, talent-wise, we got worse today
Yeah.
because the guy who replaces Corey Davis right now at the 90 people in camp is not as good as Corey Davis, and you can't claim that they are because they would have been the number 2 if they were.
I'll see that.
Okay? Now, what Nick is saying, Tigo, is it's not enough of a loss. Yes, he was our number 2 receiver, but the way we're going to substitute and fill that in as of right now, is not enough. It's not like we lost Sauce Gardner. It's not enough to throw the train off.
Of course not.
We're still good enough to win, and it's not tragic in the way that when we lost Carl Lawson, or he's saying we didn't lose a key player, and now it's harder to believe we have a chance to compete for a championship. So I think you're both just coming from a different approach. You know what I mean? In your thing. But I think that if you sit there, I think Nick is shaking his head. Yes, he agrees that Corey Davis was the second best wide receiver on the roster. That's why he was the WR2. And I think you agree with Nick's real point, which is we still this isn't the end of it. We didn't just lose our opportunity for a championship.
No,
Right.
but again, it's underplaying the I think the problem is it's the underplaying the value that Corey Davis provided to this team, which I just don't think is fair to Corey Davis, and I don't think it's fair to the other guys on this wide receiver room, because now you're asking Alan Lazard, McCole Hardman, Randall Cobb, Jason Brownlee, the future offensive rookie of the year, to all punch up above their weight, like in a big way. Something that they wouldn't have to do if Corey Davis was here. And that's just the reality of it.
Let me ask you a question. And go ahead, Knob. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, right. Before your question, let's acknowledge Knobcraft. $5. Thank you so much for this super chat. We appreciate it. It's very nice of you. And we acknowledge that and appreciate it. And you're saying we got to make sure you get your joke in. Can we save the soundbite of Tigo saying Corey Davis is a secret weapon? I understand how Tigo meant it, but we could still use that as a funny.
Oh,
sound.
absolutely.
I think it would still.
I could get you could put that in a short, and everyone would be like, "What? Tigo overvalued?" It's like, yeah, he thinks he's an elite wide receiver. No, I don't. But I'm just saying, eventually you're going to double coverage Garrett Wilson, and Corey's going to be free for 20 yards.
I mean, or we could spin it as, "Don't worry, we got somebody back," and then we play the soundbite of you saying Corey Davis is a secret weapon. So, but thanks,
Let me ask a question. Would you consider 52 catches, 586 yards a good season for a number 2?
Say it again.
52 catches, 586 yards. Would you consider that a good number 2?
I would need more context from is he run block? Is this wide receiver run blocking? Is he a red zone target? And
he's actually a tight end, Robert Tonyan, and he was the number 2 reception leader on the Green Bay Packers in 2020 when they went 13-3 in Aaron Rodgers' MVP season. He had 59 targets, 52 catches, which is a ridiculous percentage, by the way. But 586
59
yards.
and 52?
Yeah, Robert
Is that what
Tonyan.
90? That is what 88%?
It's up there. And 11 touchdowns. So 11 out of his 52. That was the number 2 receiver in terms of receptions. The number 2 receiver in terms of yardage was Marquez Valdez-Scantling with 33 catches, 690 yards, averaging 20.9 a catch. Those were the number 2 receivers in terms of receptions and yardage on an MVP 13-3 number 1 seed. Point being goes to what I said.
Do?
As long as Devontae's Garrett, 115, 1374, and 18 touchdowns. That's going to be Garrett.
Crazy. That's
going to be Garrett.
That's going to be Garrett
But the
Wilson.
point is, as long as he has that alpha male, he's got that top dog, nobody else matters because it's going to be spread the ball around and whatever the system calls for. Rodgers doesn't force shit.
Totally.
He's going to find whoever's open, whether it's the running back in the flat, the tight end on an out. He'll run with it. He'll move. He'll chuck it deep when coverage breaks down. He's not forcing it to anyone.
Nope. Doesn't throw
He's going to
interceptions.
feed the big dog. Wilson is Devontae. Devontae is Wilson, right? That's what we're going to see. I don't think anyone else with those numbers from a 13-3 MVP season should worry anybody because we have a quarterback that will make it work no matter what the talent is.
But that's a different argument. That's
a
argument.
completely different.
No, I'm saying
because
that's
you're
the-
right.
That's
But what
the
I'm saying is who was ever there this year, he will make it work. It doesn't hurt us because of
Right.
who our quarterback is now.
That's the argument of we're still going to win and we're still going to be great. And
Absolutely.
I'll say it because unlike Green Bay, I mean, and Aaron Rodgers said it on Hard Knocks where he said he compared him to the best running back he ever had per damage per play running, I think, in Amon Green. Like that was when Green Bay was their most dangerous offensively. He said it with Breece Hall. He said when Breece Hall is on the field, it's a different team. It's a different offense completely because he's such a threat. So there's no argument. We have great talent still. We still have the great defense. We still have Aaron Rodgers. He still has his big dog receiver. But again, that doesn't in this discussion also mean two things can be true. We could still be a Super Bowl team.
Oh, yeah.
We could acknowledge that we're not as good as we would have been if we still had Corey Davis.
Okay, let me throw this out for you. 2021, Rodgers' other MVP season. Devontae, 123, which is the exact number 123 is what I predict for Garrett Wilson this year. I have Garrett Wilson at 123, 1669, and 14 touchdowns. Devontae had 123, 1553, and 11. The second reception leader on that team, Aaron Jones, out of the backfield with 52. Third, Alan Lazard with 40. A.J. Dillon with 34. So 86 of the receptions came from 2 running backs in the top 4 receivers.
Dude, I never said that the team was in dire straits packing the season. We're not going to win.
But the point is, he's had great success without a number 2. He's had guys.
But what I'm trying to get at is imagine how much more success this system can have with a wide receiver too.
I'll give you that.
Think about this.
I just don't
Green
think
Bay
Davis
fans
is that guy. I don't think Davis
Green
is
Bay
shown at
fans
28
have
years old.
been
He's that guy.
clamoring, pounding the table, screaming from the top of their lungs for them to go get Aaron Rodgers a weapon. Get him another wide receiver because Devontae can't do it by himself.
I got to take the Jack. No. There's been rumors and everyone confirmed it, media, that before OTAs, Corey Davis had let the team know, which kind of surprising.
Really surprising.
Let's put this out there. Let's take it off of me and you going at it, right? Let's point our fingers somewhere else together. That's what she said. Now, the Jets, no, he's debating it. Why don't they make a bigger move?
Well, because they're not worried.
Thank you. Because losing Corey Davis doesn't change anything.
No, but
if you know he might retire,
change something.
If you're worried about him retiring or not being into football anymore, dude, I got to make a bigger move.
So why don't you cut him? Well, we tried. Why do you think we were in on Odell Beckham Jr.? What other move was there this offseason? Why were we in on OBJ? Why were we in on DeAndre Hopkins if we didn't? If we're fine?
If we would have landed either of those guys, Corey would have been cut.
Absolutely.
But if it was a money issue with either one of them, right, which I think we both think it was, you cut Corey, you get that $10 million, and now you get a better player for $6 million more than what you were paying Corey.
No, but there's a
It's a
level
no-brainer
where
in
you
my
get
opinion.
dude, I would
He's
not pay
talking
OBJ the contract that he's paying, even if we could cut Corey Davis.
You
I
still
wouldn't
have
pay
to
him that
count-
much money.
you still have
No,
to
I
count
meant Hopkins.
more.
I'm
Oh.
talking Hopkins. If you cut Corey and you get that 10, and now you only got to pay 4 or 5 million more for Hopkins, that's
The
a number
multi-
2 I'm
Yeah,
on board with.
to me, Hopkins is worth 15 million. That's my.
Agreed.
I honestly believe
The
that.
Next to
multi-year
Wilson,
deal. The
Not being a
multi-year
number
deal.
1 anymore, being a number 2, I am all in on that, and that would have been a great move for the team. Respect to Corey Davis as a player, but that 10 million, man, you don't deserve to carry that. And I think people like the guy so much that's why they're hard to critique him and his play.
Again,
and
I'm
I
not
can separate the two.
but again, it's not one of those things where I'm trying to say that Corey Davis again is like the best wide receiver we've ever seen, and he's no, right? That's not the point. But like objectively, we don't have a wide receiver 2 right now. So like,
And I don't think you need one in this system.
but imagine this system with one. Let's use that hope thing that you keep bringing up. Like imagine imagine this team with a wide receiver 2, which is what Corey Davis is.
I look at
Imagine
the
not
wide
having to
receiver
force feed Garrett. It's one of those things where like, again, I'm not saying that I'm worried. Of course not. Dude, there's a reason we went out and got Dalvin Cook. There's a reason these tight ends are like what happened when Corey Davis retired is the tight ends each got 100 extra yards this season. That's what happened. Tyler Conklin's now going to go for 600. Jeremy Ruckert's going to go for a cool 450. Uzama's going to get a cool 400. Heck, even Zach Kuntz, who tight end 4, whoever that is, might get a cool 150 and bought it out of the backfield will get a cool 100, right? Like, I'm not saying that losing Chorus is the end all be all.
Boogie down. Bring up the boogie down comment, Jeremy. Boom.
Doesn't matter.
Kelsey and Kelsey. Kelsey's the one and the 2.
But that's just the argument that Tigo would even agree, maybe saying we'd be better with Corey Davis, but we could still win. Meaning everyone thought Kansas City couldn't win because they lost Tyreek Hill, but they did anyway. But nobody
Won a
argues.
Super Bowl.
But nobody
Because they had
argues
the
that Kansas
quarterback.
City is better with Tyreek Hill, though. They're still
They have
better
the
with
quarterback,
Tyreek.
and they have the system, Jeremy. Great point. You know what the
I
rest
totally
of our
agree.
receiving core is? Do you know what we need the rest of our receiving core to be? The Baltimore Orioles. They don't hit home runs. They hit doubles, right? They're not lighting up the stats. Their leading guy has 21 home runs on the team. They're not a home run hitting team, but there's substance there because they do the little things well. And if in this system, that's what it calls for.
Yeah, but it helps when you have a Cy Young generational. It helps any team to keep on your baseball analogy when you have Shohei on the team, and that's what Mahomes is, right? Like,
Look at you again with West Coast references. What are you doing? What
I'm
are you
just
up to
saying,
tonight?
dude, he's
Are
the
you guys
best
moving?
player baseball
Are
has
you-
ever seen.
Are you moving out to the? Are you going out to live with
Absolutely
Jeremy? What are you
not.
doing
Oh,
here?
God,
You're
no.
dropping hints.
He's crashing up here in my studio.
Nope. Nope. Couldn't pay me to live in Cali.
I need a minute.
Probably couldn't afford it because of all the money that I would lose out of taxes. What I'm saying is, like, dude, it's Patrick Mahomes in his prime. Like in his prime. We're talking about Aaron
Okay.
Rodgers is still a
Okay.
top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Don't
Agreed.
get me wrong. But it's Aaron Rodgers at 39 versus Patrick Mahomes at what? 26? Is he 27? No, I think he's 27. I think he turns 28 next month. Why do I know his birthday?
Much better career than Corey Davis.
Well, yeah, because he's an elite quarterback, right? In all fairness, I think Patrick Mahomes could be a pretty good tight end.
I think
Put him out there. He bulks on some weight. He could catch. He's got some moves. He can
I
make a
think
man miss.
I think the real measurement for how big of a loss this is in talent is when we replace them. Like, who's going to jostle loose? Like like Dom C says, who's going to jostle loose? Like, if it might be someone that's a little better than we think, and then we could say, okay, we got this guy instead. How much better is Corey Davis than this guy that we got? Now, if we don't get anybody, and it's like now Brownlee makes the roster when he wouldn't have, or Xavier Gibson, then you could do a measurement and say, how do those young guys stack up against the Corey Davis? And that's what the team lost in its wealth of talent. But at the same time, it still doesn't mean we're not going to win the Super Bowl.
totally. Again, this doesn't move the needle on the season in terms of I have us winning 12 games. Losing Corey Davis doesn't move that needle at all. But it does make the 12 games just a little bit harder to win because you lost a weapon. Like there's no, like a great example of what Corey Davis is like Michael Carter, the running back, right? Like if you lose Michael Carter, you still lose a really good piece in that running back room. Like you can get Bam Knight. That's a good running back. You can go in, which is like, let's say Alan Lazard. You can go get Travis Dye, which is Randall Cobb. And all, like there are guys that exist out there. But Michael Carter is still like a really, really good running back. And even though you lost that piece, and even though it doesn't matter because he's running back 3 or anything like that, it still matters because you lost him.
From earlier today. I love that you're using my reference in the chat from earlier today as your own. Thank you. That's the greatest compliment you've ever given me, Tigo, without even mentioning.
Did you say that?
I swear to God I did. It was one of the first things I said in the chat. I was like, if we
on
lost
God,
Michael
did
Carter,
not remember that.
on the comment, the text that I sent after Jeremy and I ended on my show, I said that it doesn't change the trajectory of the team, just like losing Michael Carter wouldn't. It's a nice piece. He's a contributor, but he doesn't do anything that nobody else can step up and do. And that's what I was trying to say.
Again, I disagree with that because Michael Carter makes people miss at an elite level, like top 5 in the NFL level, like amongst all running backs. He is truly elite when it comes to making the first guy miss and yards after contact. The problem is like the offensive line needs to blow a massive hole for that to happen. You know, like he can't create his own yardage per se, but he makes that first guy miss. And if you hit, like, it takes 2 tacklers to bring him down. So again, I'll argue that point. But again,
I'll say something that'll make your heads explode, or maybe not. Maybe you'll agree 100% with me.
Our head's going to look like yours.
You're talking about guys that we could lose, like Michael Carter or something like that. I would, if I had to choose, if I had to, knock on wood, it never happens. But hypothetical question: if I had to choose, who goes down for the season, who's healthy for the season?
You'd pick me.
Becton or Michael Carter. I would say Becton, stay healthy. I'd rather lose Michael Carter.
Well, of course. Again, losing Corey isn't like, dude, in reality, this team could be totally okay if we lost. I'm going to knock on all the wood. I can't believe I'm going to put this out there. Like, we could lose Corey Davis.
This is the Kirkland brand, Joe Horn.
That's joke of the day.
That's great.
That's joke of the day.
Great. I feel like somebody else should pay the $5 super chat for that comment. That's so good.
That wins an award.
And the best thing Joe Horn ever did was take the phone out from under the goalpost padding.
That wins. Very
That's
joke
good,
of the day.
very good.
Oh man.
Hey, I like Kirkland.
I do too. I love the Kirkland brand stuff.
That makes it even better.
I love the Kirkland brand stuff. It's
I think
great.
the only Kirkland brand thing I ever buy is the egg whites.
I got the Kirkland brand bacon in my freaking fridge right now.
They have very good coffee. Very good coffee.
I don't drink coffee, but
It's Starbucks.
You're like this without coffee?
I don't any caffeine, dude. I'm a
Oh, what are you,
water
25?
only. I
You're
am
25?
28.
All right.
How old am I?
It's like Davis. That's why you're sticking with
I'm
your own.
turning 28. I'm 27.
Aww.
Dude, I'm as old as Corey Davis.
Almost.
Oh my god.
He's young enough to be my son.
Hey, Tigo, look at it this way. You're only a year away from retirement.
Oh, sign me up.
I could be his father.
Well, yeah, most guys in the chat can be, if we're being realistic.
Look at my little baby Tigo.
I gotta see how
I think
his mom
Gunny's
looks. I'm not
career
against all
in the Marine Corps is as long as I've been alive.
Wow, that's crazy.
I joined the Navy, did my stint, and got out before, like, yeah,
Harlan Abraham could be your dad.
yeah, a lot of guys can.
Hey now.
Well, he can't be your dad. That's not the way I meant it.
Are you watching the baby, or did you add like a 4th computer monitor with turning your head that way?
The mic arm gets in the way of the tweet feed, and Gunny just posted a tweet, and I wanted to read it.
Okay. I'm like, he added another computer.
No.
I know to your right towards that's your Google screen. That I know. Because that's where you always read your
This
stats
is
from.
the Google screen.
I called him out on that one night. We were doing something. I was like, Tigo, do not look right. I know when you look right, you're Googling. And Tigo went like
That's
this.
the Twitter screen.
And he got like nervous because he couldn't look right. Like he was looking like up to the left.
And the problem is I think down and to the right. Like when I'm thinking, I go this way.
I know.
So
I
it's one of
called
the
you out on
problems where it's just like this is a little bit harder than expected.
I have one question for Knobcraft while you're out there for your next text.
What teammate?
I'm just curious, what is your signature dish, Knobcraft? You have 3 hours. You're competing against 10 chefs. I'm giving $1 million to the winner. What is your signature dish?
Pork
Okay,
roll.
go on.
Wait, Knob. While you're answering that, answer this too. Joe Horn's best accomplishment was knocking up his teammate's wife. Can you tell me what teammate, please? Because I need to Google this, and hopefully there's a 30 for 30 on that.
Oh, hell, you know what? With the way Zach Wilson's been running lately, put him at wide receiver. He'll go for a cool 300. I'm not even kidding.
Listen, if we're talking about guys who make people miss, if Michael Carter goes down, Zach Wilson, RB3.
Zach is RB4. No, you upgrade Izzy because Izzy will be back for the season. Zach RB4. Oh man, the Wildcat will be so good.
How about that? You run the RPO with Zach and Rogers. It's a RPP.
I love the nerd side of football, and I was looking into like the RPO stuff.
You hide it very well.
Oh, thank you. I was looking into like the level of RPOs that like Rodgers likes to run. And dude, so I think they were in like the 30s of like numbers of plays that are RPOs that Green Bay ran last year, and like the year before it was a higher number or whatever it is. But I don't think it's fair calling it an RPO because like the only quarterback and the only team in the NFL that run the RPO the way that Aaron Rodgers run it is the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Because it was like every play that was a designed run was an RPO. Because if they got a look from the wide receivers that he liked, he would just cancel the play and throw it to the wide receiver like immediately. Because you know how like he gets the ball out so quickly? There are multiple times where I was watching back some of the tape and you look at it and like the running back, it's not play action. The running back is expecting the ball. Like Dylan is running through, he's expecting the ball. And when he gets to like where Aaron Rodgers is, the ball's not there. He's kind of looking a little bit confused because the ball is like 8 yards down the sideline to like Christian Watson so that he can go and try to make a guy miss or whoever it was. And I was just like, dude, that was a designed run play that Aaron Rodgers just said,
I call it a rip
the
and rip,
corner,
right? He rips it away from the running back and rips it before the linemen get downfield. It's a
I'm
rip
not
and
even
rip.
talking about ripping it. I'm talking about like if you watch back, like watch some of the all 22, like there are certain plays where you go and you see he looks over and he looks at the wide receiver, does something, right? Wide receiver's like, all right, cool. And it's always when the cornerback is like 8 yards off of the wide receiver and he just goes and then rips it. And then the running back's just like, but the play call was, what happened here? And then they get a first down and no one bats an eye because it's Aaron Rodgers. And I'm so excited that we have that now. Like, I'm so excited.
I've said since 2009 that Aaron Rodgers playing the quarterback position has been must-see TV for me. If the Packers were on a nationally televised game, I treated it like a Jet game because I have said this before he's a Jet, so I'm not talking anything up now that he's ours. It has been a blessing. And like I've learned about football watching him play the position. He will elevate your brain as a fan. If you like to get into the X's and O's and the strategy of how to attack a defense and how psychologically to beat a team, not just physically, you're in for a fucking treat. This guy does things nobody else does. Brady was up there with it. But Rodgers is special.
It's different, man. I'm so excited to see it like in a Jets jersey.
I can't wait. I can't wait, man. Like, listen, we got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Tigo, I could put you out there and you'll get 30 catches because he just distributes the ball to whoever's open.
Excuse me, Sauce. No, not allowed.
What?
You can't just do that. Excuse me.
What?
He just tweeted, That's it. With a bunch of thinky faces, eyes, sunglasses, and a wink. You're not allowed to do that, Sauce.
Now there's going to be a million speculations.
He's done it before. He's done it before. He did it before the Aaron Rodgers. He did it.
His response is the best to me. He posts it's so good. Come on. You
Is
can't
anybody
be
looking
doing
for a
this.
fisherman stew?
I don't need anything
Not
from the
preferably
ocean, so
a fisherman.
I'm
stew.
reading Hebrew here, looking at these words. Jeremy, help me out.
Saffron pomodoro. A ciapino is like a fisherman's soup. Imagine like a dish with like clams and fish and mussels and pieces. Like it could be scallops. I mean, just imagine a stew of seafood. And then saffron pomodoro. It sounds like a kind of rice,
Is it a
with
Pomodoro a hat? I'm kidding.
tomato, and then swordfish, lemon scented basmati. Well, that's the rice, like
Yep.
a basmati rice with like a lemon to it. Well, it all looks very interesting. Not my cup of tea. It's not the street food that I typically like, but my wife would love it. And he's a fancy chef. That means he makes the good stuff, the expensive stuff.
Harlan, let me take this for a sec. I did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You're on food.
Pomodoro.
54 minutes ago, Harlan, the Jets placed Corey Davis on the reserve retired list. That means they retain his rights for the remainder of his contract through this season. It's basically the Andrew Luck situation, that if he wanted to come back and play somewhere else, the Jets would have to get compensation for him and move him.
Yeah, he
So-
retired though.
Same as Luck, right? But people have reached out to Luck. There's just rumors that the Patriots had reached out to Andrew Luck to try to get him to come out after Brady. People have reached out to him. I'm sure Corey Davis, they might contact and say, is he interested in playing somewhere else? But
How do you think Mac Jones feels? Because it's so obvious that New England, that Bill Belichick does not believe in him, and New England is doing everything they can to replace him.
how great is it that, let's add to that, we lived in a world for 20 years
Well, that was us.
where every big name, we immediately tied them to going to New England. Dalvin Cook getting cut? No thanks. DeAndre Hopkins getting cut? No thanks. How fun is it as a Jet fan to see the Patriots be the dwellers in the basement and the bottom feeders, and nobody wants to go there? I love it. I hope it lasts forever. I hope Mac Jones plays 6-11 football for the next 15 years and they never move on.
It's funny because next year is going to be a really, really fun offseason. Not necessarily like just for the New York Jets, because like every offseason for the Jets is fun, or at least I find it fun. But it's going to be hilarious because exactly what you were saying, they're going to be trying to be in on so many of these quarterbacks and all of these things, and trying to bring people in and trying to convince talent. And they're going to be coming off of a 12 season, cellar dwellers in the AFC East, just nothing that's a weapon. Nothing that's a weapon. Ramondre Stevenson gone because he's not. They brought in Ezekiel Elliott, and apparently he was not happy with that. And then you're going to have to sit here and try to convince 36-year-old Kirk Cousins to come to New England, when on the other side of the country, San Francisco is like, no, just come be our quarterback. Come try to win a Super Bowl in the easy NFC East, or not NFC East, the NFC West, with the best offensive play caller this sport has ever seen since what?
Andy Reid.
Yeah, before Andy.
That's
I forget his
Walsh.
name. Who?
Bill Walsh.
There it is. I forgot his name. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, just go do that. It's just so fun because it's just like, next year is going to be the same conversation, like, because Cook is a free agent again, and Derrick Henry and Saquon and Josh Jacobs and all these guys, and it's just going to be like, yeah, like they're going to be in on everybody, and no one's going to want to go to New England. And I'm just gonna next year, because that's just I'm ready for it. I'm so excited for it.
Since we're talking Patriots, Jack, can I ask a question? Non-Jet related, but football related.
You're asking me permission. You're a co-host of the show.
Respect my authority.
Love it.
Do we have any cheesy poos? One word answer. Tigo, I know this is probably the most stressful thing
11.
you've ever heard in your life. One word answer. Jeremy, I'm going to throw it to you first, then Tigo, and I'll go. Chat, feel free to chime in. Speed round. Jeremy, where does Jonathan Taylor play this season?
That's easy.
Oh, Miami.
Tigo?
Indianapolis.
I'm going Chicago. Now, Indy, I like. I said that the other day. That's a very good chance because you have to give up compensation and then give him the contract. I think somebody desperate to be good, like the Bears, you run that RPO with Fields and Taylor in the backfield. Now you got Cole Kmet at tight end. You got DJ Moore, receiver.
Oh, can you imagine
You got
that,
Claypool. I think, and don't forget, they have an additional number 1 pick from trading down. They got some additional draft capital. You go get a player like that to give the Fields, and now you got Herbert as your speedy guy. Man, I think if I'm the GM, Poles.
Brian Poles? Chris Poles? It's Poles. I don't remember his first name.
Yeah.
Big dude.
If I'm him, yeah, big dude. Looks like he could play. Like,
Yeah, he could come in right now and be a
like
right
Solomon
tackle.
Thomas if he stopped lifting.
Yep.
Hey, Nobcraft. The Chargers play in L.A. Caveman.
No. If we're going funny answers, because the Chargers refusing to pay Eckler and then trading, it's Ryan Poles. Thank you, Chris. And then trading for Taylor and then paying him. If we're going hilarious answers, can I change my answers to the New York Giants? Because that would be just that would be pure comedy. Can you imagine they trade for Jonathan Taylor and then give him the money that they didn't offer Saquon? If you're Saquon, do you play this year?
Top 5. My top 5 were Philly in no order. Bears, Philly, Giants, Red Commanders, because it gives Bieniemy an elite weapon right away to go with the receivers that they have there. I think Brian Robinson is nice, but I don't think he's a game changer as a starter. He's a nice number 2. They don't have anyone that scares you in the backfield. Now you'd get that.
No, but they got a good duo there. Other than there's the other one. I forget his name.
They got Brian Robinson. They got Gibson who catches,
Gibson.
but they're role players. Like
I don't disagree. I'm just saying I like that duo. Oh, of course,
Yeah.
he's the third best running back in football.
So, and I had the Giants, and I said, with Brian Dable, who is an outstanding play caller and play designer, you bring Taylor and Barkley together, and then you could flex Barkley out as a receiver and have Taylor in the backfield, and you can move Jones out the receiver and do the Wildcat with those two in the backfield together. You know what I mean? There would be a lot of creative options, and I thought that would be a cool little place for him too. So I was on board with you with that.
That was hilarious. It's interesting because I think what they did was very, very calculated. They know only 6 teams have called just to inquire, be like, hey, what are you guys asking for? And of those 6 teams, only 2 engaged in serious trade talks.
And they haven't released it yet because the deadline hasn't hit yet, right?
Well, because they're saying that he either they basically told him, you find someone who's willing to pay you what you want, right? Because he wants 10 plus. Because from what I heard is that the offer is 8 or 9 with incentives. That's the offer that he's getting right now.
I hope he doesn't have Saquon Barkley's agent. They're like, we want to give you $8 million. No, I want $8 million and 1.
Oh, and then the incentives are things that I've never accomplished in my career ever and probably won't get ever. It's so like that. He got to fire his agent immediately.
You have to score a 50-yard touchdown, hopping on one leg the whole time. Like it's just
and do a backflip off of the back of a Miami Dolphin while doing that. Like it's just so crazy. But it's just one of those things of like, who's going to trade a first-round pick for a running back who has an ankle injury, and then also give him what, $12 million is what he wants?
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that reality coming into the world. And that's why I said Indianapolis. I think this was a very, very smart move by Indianapolis. It's the same thing that's going on with Josh Jacobs right now.
Yeah.
Which is he's refusing to play.
Go find it, right?
Go find that contract from somewhere else because it doesn't exist. This is our offer. The offer right now is 10-1 for Josh Jacobs in Vegas. The offer in Indy, let's say, is 9.5. That's the offer. There is no better offer. Who's going to trade a Christian McCaffrey level package for you and then pay you as much as Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
And you're not Christian McCaffrey.
Well, that was the thing, though. When San Francisco made that trade, Carolina already gave him the extension. They knew the contract that they were getting, right? When they made the call, they knew the numbers. This is what's different is you got to pay or negotiate and pay. So it's tricky.
It's also San Francisco was recognizing a window, right? Yes. And I think for them the window is the defense, right? Because I mean, history says you can only maintain anything for so long, and I think that honestly they see a window with their defense, and they needed to go out and they wanted something to put them over the top, and they were willing to do it. So I don't know about building a team that way, though. I've never been a fan of double paying, of having to pay lots of draft capital and pay lots of the cap space. I've never been a fan of that. Sign the big free agent when they're a free agent. If you have to give a comp pick, okay. Yeah. But like, I've never been a big fan of giving both. So it's to me, and in this case, you're not dealing, in this case, which is different than with Tyreek Hill and CMC, is you're not dealing with two cohesive, like an adjoined unit. Like in other words, they're on bad terms with each other. So you're negotiating with two different entities. You're negotiating with Indianapolis, the team, over compensation, and they want draft capital. And then you are individually dealing with the running back who wants money. And they don't.
Well, add in the third too. You're going against other teams putting in trade offers, right. So you're going against them,
right? And they don't care about each other. Like with Aaron Rodgers, it was a mutual thing. With Tyreek Hill, it was a mutual thing. They wanted to get it done, so they worked together. So imagine how are you going to get all those moving parts together? Yeah, that's going to be.
I just like to say to Kuka, this is not the first time that I've seen this comment or heard it today. So.
Hey-yo.
Hey-yo.
I will say this, Kuka. I'm not saying that it's a bad trade for San Francisco either. That was a great trade for San Francisco, going and getting Christian McCaffrey. That's not me criticizing the trade package. What I'm saying is Jonathan Taylor isn't Christian McCaffrey. Still an excellent elite wide running back, but Christian McCaffrey is different. Right, that's what I was trying to get at, and for Indianapolis to want that package plus money, like then you have to pay a bunch of money to Jonathan Taylor. Is one of those things where I think it is very calculated what they're doing, because there aren't very many teams who have the cap space to pay him and are willing to trade away that draft capital. Like people keep bringing up the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills don't have the cap space to bring in Jonathan Taylor for this year, next year, like at all. Dude, they have $6 million in cap space this year and negative $26 million in cap space next year. Like, the cap exists, right? We want to make fun that it's not real, but like, where are they going to find that money? Where are they going to find that stuff? Does Miami even have a first round pick this year? And even then, they only have $13 million this year, and then they're negative 30 next year. So it's just like, I'm not worried that he's coming to an AFC East team, and I'm not worried that he's leaving Indy. I think he stays in Indy. I think he's going to go out there. No one's going to want to give that trade capital for him, and they're going to be like, yeah, we're not trading a first and then paying you $11 million when we can just like everyone says the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think they're more than happy with Isaiah Pacheco and not paying him anything.
Yeah. But you said earlier about McCaffrey. Taylor can't do what McCaffrey does, but McCaffrey can't do what Taylor does. You
Agreed.
Go back and look at 2 seasons ago at Jonathan Taylor, man, and you were looking
looking at
another Barkley, right? You were looking at Barkley 2.0. Did the same thing. Could run through you, could run around you, could do everything.
He had a hell of an offensive line. And I'm not taking anything away from him.
I think the better thing to
He's
say
still running, playing us on Thursday Night Football that year. November 4th, we played them on Thursday Night Football. And my son, they played the run, boom, 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 boom. And they played that. And every time my son hears it, he still says to me, Daddy, that's the Jonathan Taylor song from Thursday Night Football. I know, Nick. I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandizer. I was unsure. I was legitimately asking.
Yeah,
Rob, I think they gave last year's one for Chubb. No, they couldn't have. What did they give for Chubb? Chubb wasn't a first, was he?
I thought Denver had a first round pick last year. They gave it up to Seattle, but then I thought they had one from Miami with that trade.
Yeah, it was this year's first.
Yeah,
Miami had had extra. Miami
They had an extra
picks,
one
too.
because they moved
Yeah.
back last year. That's what it was.
Yeah, Miami
That's
had
what it
extra.
was. You're right.
right?
Remember,
Was it
Miami gained a lot of picks from I think San Francisco, right?
Yep.
Didn't San Francisco trade
For the
up
Trey
with them?
Lance trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's just it's a very interesting breakdown to see like what's going to happen, and I don't think he goes anywhere. But I think what you were getting at, I think
take, right? It's going to be like shut up and play.
yeah,
right?
like you're either not going to play, and then we're going to keep you this year because we can do this indefinitely, or whatever. But I think what we were going back to Christian McCaffrey is not the running back that Jonathan Taylor was. I think Christian McCaffrey being qualified as a running back is dumb. Offensive football player. Same thing with Debo. Calling him a wide receiver? No. Offensive football player. Because you can put Debo in the backfield. You can put him at a tight end. You can put him as a wide receiver. You can put him as a quarterback. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. They can play all over the place. I'm pretty sure Christian McCaffrey has more throwing touchdowns in his career as a San Francisco 49er than Trey Lance does, which is insane. So, yeah. Oh.
What's that?
According to Omar Kelly, who is a beat reporter for the Miami Dolphins interest in running back Jonathan Taylor is legit enough that they have made the Indianapolis Colts a trade offer. Look at that. Wait, with what? What money?
Here you go. It's very simple. You go to Tyreek Hill and say, we need you to kick some money down the road. We'll give you a signing bonus. We're going to
Thank
bring
you.
in Taylor. And Hill will say yes right away.
Thank you.
Dude,
But that
next
doesn't-
year-
Wait,
next
wait,
year
wait,
it's
wait, wait, wait.
$42
Calm down,
million.
Chaos. Bring the chaos down a second. Just because I've offered many a women to do things with me. It doesn't mean they've accepted. There's been an offer put out there.
It's just that the timing is really interesting.
Yes,
considering
it was perfect. It was perfect. I'll give you credit. That worked out nice in your favor.
You like the way I did that boxer thing where they do all four. They have to do the bow to the north, the south, the east, and the west.
I thought you were just bowing to all four plates you're about to eat.
Dude, how are they gonna make this work and then also be in on freaking Kirk Cousins next year? Like, I just don't understand where all of this money is coming
You
from.
figure it out, right? You can make a lot of money appear. We know that in the
Oh
NFL.
my
You can front
God.
money, guys with big contracts, and don't forget, after this year, Waddle's available for an extension.
That's what I'm saying. This is
Also, the knob,
either the salary cap is real or it isn't, and I need the NFL to figure it out.
also the knobcraft. When and how is the best way to get cheddar cheese melted into mashed potatoes?
I think it's at the end, right? Don't you turn off the heat?
Turn
Like
off the
at the
heat.
end,
and
you turn off the heat, and then
shredded cheddar and kind of mix it in. And it
yeah,
melts.
and then you just fold it in, right? And then the residual heat melts it, and I think
All
that's what it is. Knob, correct me if I'm wrong. I am an aspiring home cook. I like cooking in the home. Ain't as
Sometimes
good
I
as
like
you,
to-
but
Sometimes
There
I
we
like-
know. You have one kid with the other on the way. Hey now.
Sometimes I like to dump grated Parmesan cheese in my mashed potatoes and make cheesy mashed potatoes that way.
Thank you. Garlic butter and Parmesan. Occasionally, I'll take the Parm out and I'll put some sour cream.
Garlic butter. You make that.
Well,
yourself?
garlic and butter. Garlic.
Right. Oh,
I'll
yeah.
put garlic and butter. I put garlic and butter on everything that I
Oh,
eat.
so good. Garlic bread, man.
But I don't use salt. I haven't used salt in years. I use
Salt?
garlic. Salt.
Salt?
I put a W in there from Off Jersey. Salt.
Guys, Eminon's in the house. What's going on? Yeah, so sorry about that distraction, but just to get back to the Jets, how do we know anything about Lazard? They said he left the field. I
the
didn't hear-
runs.
huh?
I sent it in our group text today. As soon as I saw it, I was just like, diarrhea.
Yeah, I mean, like, could it be that simple? Was the observation
No.
just that he left the field?
Yeah.
Or was there
He
any
wasn't
kind of
listed as limping, right? Which is a good sign. He walked off. He wasn't listed as limping. Maybe he took a shot to the belly and a little bubble.
There's a
guts came out.
video of him walking off. He walks off of the field, takes off his helmet. Him and Aaron Rodgers take off their helmet. They walk off of the field together. And then Lazard takes a detour, gets a trainer, and then they walk up to the thing. And the report that came out from, I believe Connor Hughes was the first one to report it, so I'll give him credit.
He's been on
that-
fire lately. Let's shout out
Dude,
him.
I don't know what
On
Connor's doing,
fire.
but he got Salah's number, like, and they're just texting constantly. I'd give up a toe for Salah's number, but you got him.
I did it for a Super Bowl, bro. I mean, I've been doing it for a number. I think do a small toe.
But they
Too
said
small toe
that
for a
it's
phone
nothing
number.
serious and that they don't expect him to miss any serious time. That he might not practice. He might practice. They have no idea. But it's not anything that they're worried about. He's definitely
good, because with Davis retiring, we need Lazard. We could all agree on that.
Well, yeah. We need everybody to stay healthy now.
Yeah. Don't use the pre-shredded. Okay.
No, never use the pre-shredded.
Okay, grate your own. Fold it into hot potatoes. Okay.
Ah, see, I said it full. I'm learning. I know stuff.
Tigo,
know
the
some
home
stuff.
chef.
I love that Tigo instinctively on this channel bust out the flailing arms like Jeremy. It's like you have
I
to.
have
you
to.
have
It's,
to
I
flail
only
your
do
arms
it on this channel.
I made Puerto Rican style sausage and peppers last week for some guests. Amazing. And I don't know if it's truly Puerto Rican style, but my friend who's Puerto Rican taught me how to make it, so I always call it Puerto Rican style.
You could just call it sausage and peppers because that's what it
Yeah,
is.
But it's not the kind that everybody knows from.
What'd you do differently?
Like,
now, damn it! Now you got me biting. What did you do
Like in
differently?
Brooklyn, you know how you grill it, you char it, the peppers a little bit, and the onions, and you know.
Because you're just listing ingredients. You could do a million things with you can
Yeah.
right. No,
you
the
can
way-
stuff peppers with sausage, and that'd be sausage and peppers.
Yeah, well, the way he taught me to do it was you chop up the peppers, and by the way, you use the orange and the yellow and the red, not that the lousy tasting bitter green, and you chop them all up, and you chop up the onion, and you put them all with olive oil on a pan covered, and put it on an extremely low heat for an hour and a half. Then you drain the liquid, and then raise the heat. You cook it down until it's literally a pepper and onion caramelized sauce. And then you cook during that, you cook the sausage on top of the like you put the sausage on top in the pan, so it cooks from the steam of the peppers and
Are you
onions.
slicing the sausage in half? Are you slicing it into slices? Is it
Well,
full?
first is
Still?
full.
Are
First
you
is full.
taking out the casing and just eating? Like, what's going
No,
on here?
the whole sausages cook on top. Then you pull them out. Again, you continue to cook on a hot. That's when you drain and cook on high heat. Then I throw the sausages on a grill to give them a little crisp, and then I cut them up into like thirds. And then you make your sandwiches, and then you spoon in the onion and pepper sauce. It's delicious.
Well, I didn't have that sauce, but you had my sausage, peppers, and onions at the game last year. That's how I did the peppers and the onions, and then the sausage, and then I reheated it at the game. I cooked it the day before. I got to go on a quick side rant here. I
Yeah.
say this as a fan, but God, F you, Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees. You lose 9 games in a row, and now Judge has a 3 home run, 6 RBI night, and they're up 9-0. Too little, too late, guys. Too little, too late.
Red John, I almost threw up in my mouth.
Rob V is asking me something. I don't know if he's talking about New York or Germany. You ever eat at that German restaurant in Glendale? No, the only the only German restaurant I ate in was in Queens. In what's that popular neighborhood in Queens? Not Astoria, but the other one. Was it Jackson Heights? It's on some main street in Queens. There was a German restaurant a friend took me to, and it was wonderful. Really awesome. But that's the only German restaurant. I don't remember the name of it, but it was it looked like a German restaurant from the outside too. It was like everything was in the style of like you felt like you were in Germany. But yeah,
Very good comment.
so
I like that comment, Bradigan.
that may have been the place, Rob, and that may have been the same place because it was somebody who lived in Queens who said this is the best German restaurant in New York City. That's all I remember, and I remember me and my wife went, and it was absolutely fantastic. And it was on some main street. I forgot the name of the street.
Not Main Street. It was Main Street. It was
No,
Main-
it was some giant street. It was a famous street. Like it's just some very well known. Like I would know the name if I saw the street it was on. I would know if it was the same place. Let's just say that.
Was it by McDowell's?
McDowell's? What, the fake McDonald's?
It wasn't that Coming to America? It was
Yeah, yeah, that was the best. That was the best.
Starts off Queens, New York.
No. They have the Big Mac. We have the Big Mick. They have the fillet of fish. We have the fry fish. We have
The fried fish fillet.
We have the MD fillet.
Jeremy, I just want to remind you, just let your soul glow. And that was no Akon synthesizer or machinery. That was the Big Nick hitting the high note there for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Rob, I think that was the place. So yeah, I just remember it being fantastic. We have a super chat, guys. Let me read.
I like that logo. Very good logo.
It's an
Very well
awesome-
done.
I would love that as a background.
That's nice.
Yeah. New York Jets Tales says, thanks for the super chat. So with Davis retiring, we look like a win now team. Do we need another vet to play wide receiver 2, or do we run with what we have in Lazard and the undrafted free agents? Well, that's the question, right? I think they're going to wait for the cuts before we know 100% what the answer is. Like, I don't think we're going to be desperate and force a move, but if the right guy wrangles free, and I stole that word from Dom C, if the right guy wrangles free via the cuts, I think we make a move and we do it. If the right guy doesn't wrangle free, I don't think we're going to force something and bring in the wrong guy, like some guy who's not going to help much, and end up losing one of the younger undrafted free agents. I mean, what do you think, guys?
I'll say what I said before. I know we discussed it at length. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. And like I said, again, great logo. That's fantastic. That really pops. I trust Joe Douglas, and I know it's good for us to discuss, but if they don't make a move, I'm okay with it because they're okay with it. Aaron Rodgers has a good history of developing and working with late round drafted and undrafted wide receivers. Alan Lazard, present company included, right? So I'm okay with whatever we do because I think that we are a win now team. And if they think we can still win now, I'm okay with that. If they add a player, I'm okay with that. If it's let these young guys develop and come up, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want to sound vague with it, but we have a general manager that I trust who's made a lot of good decisions, right? We heard Will McDonald was a reach. Will McDonald may be a steal at 15. So our scouting staff and our front office is much better than any of us are at this. You know, not just this show, any of the content creators. That's why we're content creators and not working for the New York Jets. So, I mean, it's a simple answer, and it's almost like I'm taking an out, but I'm okay with whatever route the Jets decide to go. If they think the talent is good enough, I'm okay with it. If they add someone, I'm okay with it. Like, I think we're finally at a point where we should be proud of our organization. Little plug on my channel, Proud New York Jets fans. We should be proud about the guys who are running this team because they know what the hell they're doing.
I tend to lean in a very similar way that Nick is like thinking about it, but I don't think that we're good enough there yet at the wide receiver position. I think that we should make a move, but I agree with Jeremy. I'm not about to overpay for an asset.
But who's there to overpay for?
There are guys. There are definitely guys that are out there that you can go out and get and that you can overpay.
You mean in trade or free agent signing?
No. There's not a single free agent that I think is
worth
worth
anything, right? Yeah.
Not a single free agent. Not one. Don't mention a free agent.
Landry, $5 million?
Way too much money. I'd give Landry. I'd give Landry
I don't
a
remember.
ball.
I'm throwing out a name and a number. I don't want that. I'm just throwing it out for discussion.
No. But there are wide receivers that are out there. There are guys that are available.
Okay.
And there are guys that will become available. Okay. And while I don't think that we're going to get a new wide receiver by week 1, I think that our week 1 roster is going to be what it is. I think that a guy like Renfro and others who shall not be named because I have a video that's going live tomorrow morning. But there are guys that will sneak through. You know, what happens when the Washington Commanders are 1-6 by week 7 and the trade deadline is coming? And the Jets are offering a first-round pick for Scary Terry.
I could see.
I'll trade for.
I could see Samuel more than McLaurin. I think
What?
McLaurin's. I could see Samuel more than McLaurin. I think McLaurin's a piece you build around. And if you're
Yeah,
the
but
enemy,
they're
you don't
going to
wanna give away
reset
your best
new
player.
ownership, new head coach, new GM, aging veteran.
Yeah,
You could do that.
Why do you think Renfro is going to slip through? Let's go back to this. Why would the Raiders let him go?
Because he's not a McDaniels guy.
nobody's a
But you think they would let
McDaniels
him
guy.
go for free? Hasn't he?
No, they trade him.
Oh, okay.
You trade for him. Every person that I'm going to bring up is a trade. There's no one that's going to get cut really that's worth it. I'd rather just run it with Brownlee. But there are some interesting names that might get cut. Chase Claypool is a guy that's being talked about getting cut. Equanimeous St. Brown has some relationship with, Aaron Rodgers because he played in Green Bay. He's being talked about getting cut. Michael Gallup is being talked about becoming available. Hunter Renfrow is being talked about becoming available. Brandon Ayuk has been being very cryptic and liking tweets of him in other teams' jerseys. Now Brandon Ayuk is like, I would trade the farm, go get Brandon Ayuk, give him $20 million. Like, I don't care, right? But there are guys that you can go, yeah. There are guys that will become available. Somebody mentioned it earlier. What if the Rams are 1-5, 1-6, haven't won a game? Stafford's hurt again. You don't think that they're not going to want to maybe get something for Cooper Kupp? Get out from under the next 4 to 5 years of that contract? Like, there are guys that will become available. So even though the cuts happen the Tuesday after this upcoming Tuesday, after the Giants game, it'll be that Tuesday is when the cuts happen. The cuts are Tuesday. Even though the cuts are that day, no one is going to shake free, in my opinion, that is going to be worth it. Because then you're talking about bringing somebody in and giving them 1, maybe 2 weeks to learn the entire playbook. Whereas in Brownlee and Taylor and all these guys have a relationship with Rodgers already and know the playbook. So I would be for me, if I'm looking to get a wide receiver, it's in a big splash. I'm talking about your Ayuks, your Terry McLaurins, your Cooper Kupps, those kinds of guys that have 1,000-yard seasons under their belts that would come to this team and legitimately be wide receiver 2, that you would either have to pay big money in a contract that they already have or give them a big money contract. And I think that's absolutely worth it. I would do that in a heartbeat.
What do you think it would cost to get Renfro, for example?
Day 2 pick, not even day 3 pick, probably like a 4th or a 5th.
Yeah.
That would be very ideal. I know he's more of a slot, but he's
Corey.
He's a smart, good receiver, man. I wouldn't mind Renfro at all.
He's savvy. He's savvy. He would have a good connection with Rodgers. That would be a nice fit.
Oh, and he's got some of the best sure hands in the NFL. Like, he just doesn't drop the ball.
He doesn't drop
the only
year off of 100 catch season.
Yep, he just doesn't
He had
drop
100
the ball.
catch season with Carr, and then he was all injury riddled last year.
Yep,
he'd be a machine. Opposite of Garrett Wilson, he'd be a machine.
That would
The
be like
problem with
that would be like
Hunter Renfrow-
Edelman, right? That would be like getting an Edelman.
Yep, exactly. He's 5'10".
You got your flash, you got your Garrett, you got your superstar, and then you got your little zigzag guy and eat up underneath and mismatch linebackers and safeties.
He's what every Jets fan last year thought Braxton Berrios actually was. You know what I mean? Like when you thought Braxton Berrios last year, everyone was like, "Oh, he's Hunter Renfrow." Like, that's just no.
Yeah.
Hunter Renfrow is Hunter Renfrow. But the only problem with Renfrow is with some of these other guys, your Ayuks, your McLaurins, your Michael Gallups, and other things like that, they match a skill profile a little bit closer to what Corey Davis does. If you're going the way of Hunter Renfrow, his skill set is completely different. What you're saying is, F all of the other stuff that Corey did so well, we're just getting a production guy. And that can be the answer. You can say, yeah, screw it. I don't care. Like, if Corey was going to get 700 yards, whatever, I'll just get Hunter Renfrow and he can go get 900 yards, and then we'll find out the blocking and the other thing somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
you could throw Renfrow 3-yard routes all day and he'll get 900. You don't need him to get 18 yards downfield, catch it, and get tackled immediately.
I feel
Yeah.
like we'd be dangerous. I feel like we'd be even more dangerous. Like, really. I mean, I think it'd be really hard for a defense. I mean, we're already got, the running backs that we have. I mean, the running backs, we got Conklin, as a receiving tight end, and then now you're going to throw Renfro in there. I feel like that's going to really screw up. That would be crazy to me for a defense.
It's great when you look at it concept wise and matchup wise, because now with guys like Hardman and Renfro on the field at the same time, you got to inch people up, right? You got to bring your safeties up to help the linebackers. And now you open up Garrett Wilson downfield. So the potential for play design and strategy and attacking them. But I just want to add one thing while you were talking about what Berrios was. I'm old enough to remember when people thought Mike White to Braxton Berrios was Joe Montana to Jerry Rice.
God, man. Oh, it was so infuriating.
Berrios had 35 catches. The next 6 wide receivers are injured.
I will say this, though. The one issue with the Hunter Renfrow thing is schematically, he doesn't fit what Rodgers and Hackett, in theory, like to do with wide receivers. Like, it's an interesting, again, it'd be an interesting addition, because if you look at in recent years, what if you look at the Hackett and the Rodgers years together, they like the bigger body wide receivers and then one shifty fast guy. And that's what Garrett Wilson is. So now you're transitioning to 2 shifty fast guys. And so you're losing some of your blocking power, which comes back to, we were talking about this earlier, Nick, about the Rodgers RPO, the Rodgers play option is what I like to call it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, like, Fear is Groom says it perfectly. Hackett loves guys who can block, and Hunter Renfro's not that. Now, this isn't me being anti-Hunter Renfro. If he's available and you can get him for a 5th, go get the guy, because he's an easy 900 yards. If he's healthy, it's an easy 900 yards. Easy 900 yards on the New York Jets. But there is something to be said about schematically not 100% matching up with what the vision of Hackett and Rodgers is for an offense. Because Hunter Renfrow catches more of the balls between the numbers, where Aaron Rodgers likes to throw the balls outside and 20 yards deep, and that's not Hunter Renfrow.
Allison, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. Saying, do you know why Corey Davis dropped out and not want to play no more? We don't know the exact reason. There's lots of different theories. We're relieved. There were rumors that one of his kids were sick, but in his goodbye, he said very specifically, "I have 2 healthy children," which was great to read. We don't know for sure. And people could speculate all they want. The reality is nobody knows. Like, nobody really knows. It could have been just some people burn out. It could have been mental health. It could have been a million different things. It could have been a different family member sick. It could have been he's sick. I mean, it could have been anything. It could have been he simply wants to raise his kids.
I mean,
he has a lot of money.
Right? There's a million things that we could list. We don't. It could be mental health, right? It could be family mental health. Like,
he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been fully healthy in 5 years.
Yeah, and nowadays,
maybe his body is
guys
beat
get
up.
paid so much money, they don't need to play another 5 years to make all that money, right? He's made enough where he's got generational wealth. So you don't have to push yourself past the point of having a normal life after football anymore. Andrew Luck is the perfect example, right?
Yeah, he must have made like 20 million guaranteed as a number 4 pick for Tennessee. And then he comes to us and he made 25 million or so in the 2 years, or 24 million. I mean, so the guy's made over $40 million in his career.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has enough, and maybe he's picking his kids. Maybe he's saying, this freaking hurts. I've been injured. You feel those injuries later on in life. Don't fool yourself. Because my dad made a living selling surgical and medical supplies to a lot of former NFL players. So the injuries don't completely go away. They haunt you later on. Maybe he just said, I want to be healthy physically. I want to feel good. I want to raise my kids. I would like that to be the reason. I hope, knock on wood, I really hope for his sake and his family's sake that that's all it is.
Yeah, if I had to put my speculation on it, I think it's just a health thing. He's tired of being, I think what it is like you just get to a point where you're tired of being tired and hurt.
Yeah.
He's got 2 kids, and there's different situations, right? Where like, oh, if you can go home to your kids and at least you're healthy, it's a different
Yeah.
situation. If you got energy,
Yeah.
but he's had a very, very challenging emotionally, physically career, you know, like we were talking about it earlier. Nick, you brought it up, dude. He's a former 5th overall pick.
Yeah. Big expectations and pressure. And listen,
But we have no idea.
let's be real. It's disappointing how it played out in the 2 years and 2 months when he was a Jet. Wish him the best. Hope everything's okay. Hope everyone he loves is okay, and enjoy your retirement, man. You know, you've been blessed enough with your talents to have a lot of money and enjoy life and go live a quiet life and not have to worry about it. I don't see him ever being one of those guys who pops on the NFL Network on a regular, you know. But go live your life, man, and enjoy life, and all the best to you.
And JD,
And maybe Joe Douglas and co. will ship you a Super Bowl ring next year.
we did bring in Lazard, so it wasn't like we weren't aggressive. We paid Lazard a lot of money to get him in there. So JD did do something. It's not like we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And
We were in on Odell Beckham and DeAndre Hopkins.
right. We were in on those guys. We just weren't going to overpay them. I mean, you got to value guys. Hey, think of it this way. There was a time where Corey Davis was our number 1 and Keelan Cole was our number 2. Right? I mean, so it's not like you know what I mean? It's not like we're going into this with nothing. We still have Garrett Wilson. We still have Lazard, who's good. We have Coleman. Obviously, McCole Coleman is a role gadget player, but he plays an important role. It's not like we don't have a veteran in Cobb who has a lot of experience working with Rodgers, who, believe me, will make some big plays during the season. He will. There'll be some big third down plays by Cobb. I guarantee you. I promise you there will be. And also, let's not totally write off these young guys that we have fighting for a spot, because there's some talent there, right? I mean, it's a crazy race right now and very competitive for a spot. We got like 3 or 4 guys fighting for a spot. You might end up with 2 of them making the roster. So let's not panic and act like, oh my God, we don't have enough wide receivers. Look, it's a blow. We're not as good as we were yesterday, but it's not the end of the world. It's not we still have a better wide receiver room than we have had since the Decker days, right? Since we had Decker and what's his name, Brandon Marshall. It's been a while since we've had talent in the wide receiver room that we have right now.
Yeah, and the reality is I think people are overestimating wide receivers' utilization in this offense. I will guarantee you, of the top 5, let's say top 6 pass catchers for this team, 2 of them are going to be wide receivers.
Yeah.
2 tight ends and 2 running backs are going to have more receptions than most of the wide receivers not named Garrett Wilson. I can guarantee that. Jeremy Ruckert and Tyler Conklin are going to have, like, Jeremy Ruckert, Tyler Conklin, Breece Hall, and Michael Carter, I think, are going to have all more receptions than Allen Lazard next year.
I also do want to say that McCole Hardman was injured last year. I don't know how many games he missed. He was going to have a bigger year. He was having a bigger year. And he has some plays. He has some film. Don't sleep on this kid. He's a tough kid. He doesn't go down easily. He's a fighter. There's a play where he's near the end zone in the red zone where it's probably only like 5% of the players in the league would have gotten in the end zone. I mean, he's a tough kid, and he's very explosive, very fast. He had some really big plays. A lot of Kansas City fans are telling me you got yourselves a really good receiver, and that there's more to it than we understand. And I don't know exactly how many snaps he took last year, but
played 8 games.
Right, he only played 8 games.
Yep.
Right. So you look at overall stats, you got to take that into consideration. We might have more than we think in McCole Hardman. I'm just going to say that, especially with a Garrett Wilson drawing a lot of the attention. And a Breece Hall.
McCole Hardman is what I like to call a fantasy wide receiver extreme sport, because he's either going to play and he's going to get like 6 catches for 250 yards and 9 touchdowns somehow, or he's going to get 3 targets for -3 yards and a fumble. Like, that's what McCole Hardman is. He can be explosive, and maybe our system can highlight his play a little bit more. But it's just, again, it's not like, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that The New York Jets knew that this was an option for a long time. We knew since March that this was going to be an option, that this is what he was thinking about. And we chose not to address this position more. You know, yeah, we were in on Odell Beckham and we were in on DeAndre Hopkins and all of that stuff. But Joe Douglas and this coaching staff chose not to over accentuate and over target that room for a reason. We didn't go pay Odell Beckham 16. We could have easily paid Odell Beckham 16, cut Corey, and then have Corey retire afterwards, right? Like if that's what he was legitimately thinking. But the reality is that the tight ends and the running backs are going to get way more work than people are used to. Aaron Rodgers loves throwing to running backs and to tight ends. Nathaniel Hackett loves scheming up to running backs and tight ends.
This kind of comment always cracks me up, right? The Brownlees of the league were not drafted for a reason. It's true, they weren't drafted, right? But Trey Dean wasn't drafted. Bryce Huff wasn't drafted. You know how many guys, there are more. Lazard wasn't drafted. There are more guys in the Hall of Fame that weren't drafted than there were first-round picks. I mean, so, you know, we've added talent to this team from guys who were not drafted. So what are the reasons? There are guys that weren't drafted because they were injured. They're from small schools, so they were overlooked. They weren't taken seriously. Talent is talent. The guys are in camp. We're watching. Everybody's down on Brownlee because he had some rough days in camp. Why would we treat him differently than any other rookie? Did you think he was going to shine every day?
Nice pun. I like that.
They weren't even down on him because of the camp. They were down on him because he didn't do anything the first 2 preseason games.
Right. And then the other game, he had some nice catches with Zach Wilson.
Great catches.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't understand why we think if you look at his tape, it's good. He just played for a small school and other teams had other priorities and maybe they overlooked him. He was a guy that we would have drafted. He was on our list to draft, but there was guys higher up on our chart to draft. But the reality is, I don't have a list right now, but there are plenty of players. Wayne Corbett, one of the, he's a top 100 wide receiver. He's listed number 50 something in the history of the NFL. When they came out with the list at wide receiver, he was our number 1 wide receiver. He's one of our great players that we love and remember. Well, Wayne Corbett was not drafted. So
you want a list?
It's just, well, I'm sure you can come up with a great list, but I mean,
no, I have it. You want me to pop some names off?
Sure, pop some names off. I mean,
Kurt Warner, James Harrison, John Randall, Warren Moon, Antonio Gates, Willie Brown, Night Train Lane.
What's
Wait,
that?
Priest Holmes is in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. But Bang, you can't say that we got screwed. The Jets knew about this since March.
Right. I mean, it's not. You don't know that he got that he screwed anyone because you don't know why he retired.
It's not even that. Take away the reason for retiring. It doesn't matter. He retired 3 weeks before the season. He told the Jets in March that this was an option, that he was seriously considering retirement, and the Jets implored him to stay.
Right.
Like they were the ones who were like, "No, don't stay. Aaron Rodgers is coming. Look at what we can do." Like. I'm not saying that, like, it sucks that it happened this late, but it's not like, oh my gosh, we missed out on a whole bunch of talent because we didn't know. No, we knew. We still chose not to take Jackson Smith-Njigba. We still chose not to overpay for Odell Beckham or DeAndre Hopkins.
Right now,
those were decisions made with this knowledge. We knew this. By we, I mean the Jets organization.
Like, no one is saying we could trust Brownlee to fill Corey Davis's shoes. No one is saying make Brownlee the WR2. What we're saying is we have Lazard, we have McCall Hardman. We can on the roster have Brownlee, and he might give some value. And there's other ways to fill in for a missing player. If Corey Davis got hurt, right? We're not saying, a rookie is going to be the W2 receiver. That's not how we're replacing him. But the reality is you don't know how good he's going to be. Wayne Corbett became our number 1 guy. So I'm saying is on the roster, if nobody shakes loose in free agency, if we can't pull off a fair trade, we might get some value in a rookie wide receiver. But we're not saying that guy is going to fill the shoes of Corey Davis.
Of course not. He's going to be
We're
better
saying
because he's
that
going to be the offensive rookie of the
Just
year.
the next guy up in the system, and that's what's going to make it work.
You know who's going to fill Corey Davis's shoes? It might be 20% Lazard, 15% McCall Hardman. It might be 5%.
Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall together on the field. There's so many options.
Right. It just might be the play calling that changes a little bit to get us more weapons and get us receivers on the field. I mean, that's what's going to replace him. It's not going to be a rookie replacing him. But to sit there and say that we might not get value or might not get a good player because he wasn't drafted or because we shouldn't give an undrafted free agent a chance, how much talent would have been lost on this team, on our very team? Look how many guys and how much value we've gotten by picking up guys off the freaking garbage heap. Quincy Williams, right? I mean, I don't know if he's drafted or not, but we got him off the garbage heap. John Franklin Myers,
6th round
right?
pick.
We didn't draft John Franklin Myers. He's
No,
our
the
best
Rams did.
defensive lineman. I mean, so like to sit there and say that we should just totally put an X on any possibility that we can get help from a guy because he wasn't drafted, it doesn't align with the history of the NFL because it's just not true. There are guys who don't get drafted. There used to be 13 rounds in the NFL. Now there's only 7 rounds.
How about this too?
Bang, that's
How many
also not
guys,
true.
How many guys have we drafted that were shit? It doesn't matter where you're drafted. And here's the biggest thing that everyone forgets. Everyone puts a label on a draft position or a salary. Here's something that I always bring up. You could take any player in NFL history. We'll talk about wide receivers right now. They could have all the talent in the world. Coaching, quarterback, system, offensive line. All that matters in a wide receiver succeeding, right? You don't block, you can't run your route. You don't have a quarterback to read and make the throws, you don't get targets. You don't have a good system, the defense can shut you down. There's so many moving elements. There aren't many queens on a chessboard with the wide receivers. Sometimes you're a system guy. Does anyone think that Julian Edelman would have been what Julian Edelman was if he wasn't in New England? I don't think so. Right? There's a lot of guys who have succeeded because of where they were. It's time. And what's the word that Coach Saleh keeps using? Opportunity. Opportunity just got created today in the wide receiver room for the New York Jets. Yeah. Whether Sauce Gardner's tweet means anything, that he knows something, because they've done that before, right? Reed did something. Reed made a tweet like that before Rodgers got traded. Sauce did it. They've been known to do these things. But now, when you're looking at the wide receivers that we have, go do your fucking job.
Yeah. Now,
go do your job.
I agree with this comment. Look, 3 years ago to this day, we had nobody. JD totally cut down the roster. We had nobody. The only guys we had was Marcus May, Mekhi Becton, Quinnen Williams, and Denzel Mims. Mims is gone. Becton has not played since his rookie year, right? Marcus May is gone. Everything we have has been built with the last 2 years. So I agree, Bang. 2 years has not been enough time to build the depth that the 49ers have or the Ravens have. But we sure as hell are going down that road, aren't we? Because we sure as hell are deeper than we've been. I mean,
stack one after the other. And before you know it, you're there, right, Jeff? Stack one after the other.
Right. Right now, we got a stacked tight end room. We got a stacked defensive line. I believe we have more good linebackers than we think we have. I think we have more safeties than we think we have because I think Tony Adams is going to be really excellent. We got tons of running backs. We're stacked there. I mean, we're not as stacked at wide receiver, but we're more stacked than we were at wide receiver 2 years ago. Because don't forget, 2 years ago, Corey Davis was our number one. We're not in that situation anymore. Keelan Cole is not our freaking number 2 wide receiver anymore. We're better than we were. So, yeah, I agree. We're not there yet. But the trajectory says in a year or two, we'll be the deepest team in the NFL at this rate.
You want to be up in the top 5, right? You want to have that team loaded. You want to have depth. You want to be able to lose a guy and replace him with the next guy coming up. And from where we were 27 months ago before that draft to where we are now, I don't know. Anybody can complain. Yes,
Yeah.
we're talking Super Bowl. We have Super Bowl expectations. Who would have thought that 2 years ago? Aside from me, because I said 2024 Super Bowl favorites the minute we traded Jamal Adams. And that's with a number 2 overall quarterback pick being a bust. Who would have thought we'd be here?
Yeah.
I swear, like, some Jets fans want to set their own fires so they can put it out, right? There's tweets. We've seen them. You guys know me. I love calling out the negative Jet fan. How many times have you seen, well, what are we going to do when Rodgers is done with Zach? That's 2025. Who gives a shit? Who cares what we do in 2020? We're about to go on a Super Bowl run, and you're talking about what if in 2 years with Zach? Delete your Twitter account. Mute yourself.
Well, look, I tend to ruminate and worry about the future and worry about this and that. But the reality is you're right. Like right now, we have to worry about right now. This is our window. We're in our window, right? Now, I would love to know that we can somehow still be competitive in 2025. But the reality is, let's take this is how you stop yourself from enjoying the moment, by worrying about things you can't control. Right now, the way things are set up for this season and next season look very, very good for us. It looks like we have a very serious chance to compete and go very far. Can we just enjoy that? Can we just enjoy that?
Yeah. You know what? When you said what are we going to be in 2025, all I care about is what we're going to be in 24. It's 24 weeks. I want to be in Vegas. I don't care about 2025 the year. I don't care about 2025 months from now. Where are we going to be in 2024? We're going to be in Vegas playing in the Super Bowl.
Vegas, baby. Well, I'll be at Hell's Kitchen eating some of Gordon Ramsay's risotto. But also, hopefully,
thank God they have a dome, because you would be floating over the top like the Goodyear blimp. You would be the Jet Chaos blimp floating over Vegas. It'd be too hot. You'd pop in yourself.
I'm that asshole that will score tickets to the Super Bowl somehow, right? And we're all there. Imagine we're all there. Somehow we all get tickets, right? We have tickets to the Super Bowl. We're all in Vegas. I'm that dumb moron that Saturday nights will go to the one White Castle in Vegas, brag about how I waited 2 hours online in the middle of the night, eats 12 White Castle hamburgers, and then I'm sick and I miss the Super Bowl. That's me.
I don't care. Like, no offense to you. I don't give a shit what happens to any of us. If the Jets are in the Super Bowl, it's good. Like, you know, my luck, the way things have been going for me, I'm going to be the coach from Major League in the hospital watching the Super Bowl. I fucking love the opera.
Billy, he's about to be the offensive rookie of the year. I've been saying this for a while now. I'm crazy for it, but
whoa. Let me get him up there. So you're not joking when you say Brownlee's going to be rookie of the year?
No, that absolutely is satire. But now that Corey's gone, I'm all in on it. Of course he's not going to be the offensive rookie of the year. The kid went undrafted, but what if? What if? How cool would that be?
Let's say this.
It's only happened once in NFL history where a team has won back-to-back offensive rookies. Well, let me say this. It's only happened once in NFL history where a team won back-to-back any rookie of the year award, offense or defense. And it was when they first created the award. Detroit went back-to-back, but that was it.
Would have never. You would have gave me 32 guesses. It would have taken me about 29 or 30 to get to Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. They had a running back and they had a running back and I think a wide receiver in back-to-back years in the 60s. The only time it's ever happened.
Unbelievable. Well, look, guys, we're going to wrap up. Boy, did time fly by tonight. I got to say, it really flew by. I looked at the time. I cannot believe we've been on for 2 hours. It's amazing. So, look, everybody, thanks for being here. Modine, I didn't acknowledge you. I'm sorry. Welcome, Modine. Glad you could be here with us, old feller. And hopefully we'll win a Super Bowl. And then you can tell everybody how great we are and be very positive. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thanks, everybody, for watching the show. Hope you guys had a good time. I would say the takeaway is I think all three of us could agree, and I hope that you guys will take this to heart. While it sucks to lose a player that was going to be a starter, this is not going to kill us. This is not going to take away from our chances. Don't let this get you so far down that you think it's over. Nothing is over. We haven't even started yet. There's so many things to be excited about. Make sure you subscribe to Proud New York Jets Fan. We'll be back on tomorrow morning to react to the next press conference for Robert Saleh. And if you are not subbed to Talking Jets with Tigo, what the hell are you doing? You've got to sub to his channel. Awesome videos, great takes. They are different and unique to all the other channels. So make sure you watch them and listen to him and hear him out because he's a smart guy.
I miss those days of being young and energetic without coffee. At 37 is when I got into coffee. Now I'm 44.
I don't like hot drinks, man.
I never did either.
I want to get into coffee because like
I
having
love
a
your
kid.
energy though.
But like, dude, just because I took a nap after the kid fell asleep. Like it's just like I feel like I'm so tired. So tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks guys for being on. Great show. And
Thank you. Everyone who did super chats, thank you. We appreciate them. Jeremy, thank you for hosting. Tigo, thanks for popping in.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
I'm out
guys.
next Wednesday. I got a fantasy football draft in AC, so you got to get a co-host next Wednesday.
All right. Well, I got one right here, right, Tigo?
We'll see. I'm on baby watch, so
You'll let me know.
any day now. Baby's coming, so we'll see.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in that situation. Okay, I will not.
Yeah. Like again, don't
Okay.
bank on it. But if baby's not here, I'm always down.
All right, I'll let you know. Even if I get a co-host, you're always welcome. So, all right, guys, everybody, good night.
I'll talk to you guys in about 5 seconds in the chat, right?
I'm gonna yell at you in the text message group anyway because you said something ridiculous, probably, right?
Oh yeah! Go! Amazing! That's my boy! That's my boy!
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown!
This is a touchdown all the way.
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati.